With the Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
This is your captain speaking. We've got clear runway and the weather's fine, but we're just going to circle up here a while and get lucky. No, nothing like that. It's just these cash prizes add up quick. So I suggest you sit back, keep your tray table upright, and start getting lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply. See website for details. With the Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
This is your captain speaking. We've got clear runway and the weather's fine, but we're just going to circle up here a while and get lucky. No, nothing like that. It's just these cash prizes add up quick. So I suggest you sit back, keep your tray table upright, and start getting lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Judy was boring.
Hello.
Then Judy discovered ChumbaCasino.com.
It's my little escape.
Now Judy's the life of the party.
Oh, baby, mama's bringing home the bacon.
Whoa, take it easy, Judy. The Chumba life is for everybody. So go to ChumbaCasino.com and play over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Matt Routledge, director. Lovely to be with you today. 50th anniversary of the untimely death of Bruce Lee. The first question is, you've done this back to Pak Chong kind of thing and the Big Boss scenario. Where did this come and how did it come about personally? How did that come out? Was it a dream, or was it something you wanted to do, or was it just by chance?
Well, I used to live in Thailand. I lived in Thailand for quite a few years in the early 2000s. After my time there, when I was working as a stuntman on the Medallion, I ended up staying there for another 3-4 years. And it's always a place that I love a lot. You know, it's such a beautiful country. And I was just thinking, I always wanted to do a project on Bruce Lee. And then it just popped into my head that, you know, John Little did an amazing job with his first location documentary, but I wanted to try and go back, refilm the locations, maybe throw in a few interviews or, you know, with locals and do like a more updated version of the one that he produced, which was a great documentary in itself. And obviously I know Thailand well. It was a project I really wanted to do. So it started off as what I wanted just to be a 15-minute YouTube video. There was no script, there was no nothing, just went out there, you know, just me filming a lot of the time. And from that, it kind of evolved a bit into something obviously a bit bigger as we started getting more interviews with people who were around at the time. And it was a great project to do. And I'm just thrilled to add something there for the Bruce Lee fans to enjoy.
So yeah, I get that. Now let's go to Pak Chong. Come on, get us the feel. Tell us how it felt to be there, taking shots and actually finding bits and pieces. Give us a flavour of how you felt when you were, oh wow, I've seen this, or oh I remember this, or you could match something up. What did you feel like when you're doing that?
It was incredible experience, really, because even when you're driving there and you see the sign for Pak Chong, you're already getting excited, you know. And I was trying to listen to the Big Boss theme tune while I was driving there, so it was, it was just amazing. And when you first turn up, I think the first location I saw as I was driving towards was the temple on the left, the Big Boss's house. So already you're quite starstruck, and you've landed right in the middle of this movie location, this iconic movie location. But the amazing thing is all the locations are very near. They're all pretty much within walking distance of each other. So it's a Bruce Lee fan's dream. If anyone goes obviously on a pilgrimage to Pak Chong, they'll have an amazing time because a lot of the locations are still there. Some of them look just the way they did back in 1971, such as the temple itself, the Big Boss's house. It's unbelievable how little that has changed. And obviously you can stay in the Rimtarn Inn, which is the hotel where Bruce stayed when he was there. So yeah, it's got everything. I think just the fact that the locations are all very, very near is just a great incentive to go there, because it's achievable for everyone to see all the locations in one day.
Just for those lucky people who might be able to get there, how much do you think it would cost to actually go and visit those places? And how long do you think it would take if you were really enthusiastic? A roundabout figure at this time of 2023.
Well, you know, if you're looking at flights, they could be anything upwards to about £1,000, and then Pak Chong is about 2 hours, two to 2.5 hours away from Bangkok. So you could either take a bus or hire a car, and then once you're there, things are very affordable. You know, it's a very reasonably priced town. You could stay there for, you know, you could stay in, I think the Rimtarn Inn, I think, is between maybe £35 and £50 a night. So, you know, it's a very, very affordable thing to do. But obviously, if you're a Bruce Lee fan, it's definitely going to be one on your wish list that you'd want to go and visit.
So you're talking about 1,500 to make it easy.
I would say so. Yeah, something like that.
Well, it's just nobody ever talks that, and it'd be nice, because I'm sure there's many people who will watch this and go, oh, I want to go, you know, and just do that pilgrimage. And nobody's ever talked a kind of a price of what it would cost to actually visit something like that.
Sure.
You went to the temple. Can you explain a little bit about how you got downstairs?
Yeah, it was, I have a good friend there who helped me quite a lot on the documentary, called Eric Klein. And he was great when it was trying to get hold of certain locations and certain people for the interviews. So he has a good existing relationship with the monks at the temple. And basically, I had a talk to the monks. I did a bit of a ceremony with the monks, made a donation to the temple itself, and I was allowed permission to go inside the temple and obviously down the stairs, which is something very few people are usually allowed to do. But everyone there was very friendly. They were very keen to help for this project. So yeah, I think I was very lucky to go in the downstairs part. And as you can see, when you watch the documentary, all the holes on the walls from all the ornaments and the pictures, which are still, you know, the holes of the wall are still there. So it's literally like someone's just taken them down. So incredible.
When you were there, you know, there's certain places that have changed. What would you say was the place that was sadly changed the most, and you couldn't find, or you found and it just either didn't exist or was very, you know, nearly unrecognizable?
Well, there's a few actually, because obviously the brothel has gone and the building has been completely reconstructed. So the only thing determining where that scene was is the actual street sign, which says Kate Rock Phi, which in Thai means railway station. So that's the only significant marker for where that location was. That doesn't look, it's turned into quite a busy city street now with, you know, new buildings there. So the old building is gone, because obviously the old building was more of a wood structure to it. But there's obviously other scenes where, you know, we had a few witnesses who claim they filmed the gambling den scene in Pak Chong, but I know obviously other people have said that it was maybe shot in Prapa Deng. But if you actually watch the scene, you see the exterior shot of James Tien and Bruce Lee is at a different location to the scene where James Tien actually walks into the gambling den, which means those two were obviously shot at separate places. So it's difficult to basically determine. Maybe the exterior was in Prapa Deng, but the actual gambling den was in Pak Chong. I'm not sure if anyone knows that, but it's interesting to do the research and speculate where these places are. But fortunately, the temple, which is the main big boss house, the river, where Bruce obviously had some quite striking, memorable scenes, not just with Maria Yi, but obviously the before his battle with the big boss, where he's scraping the knives. The river's still there. It's only changed ever so slightly in build, but it's still there. So yeah.
And what did you think to the ice factory?
The ice factory was great. Yeah, I mean, it obviously does look quite a lot different in some ways, in the fact that obviously you remember it from the film, the area was quite barren. It is in a rural destination anyway, but now it's obviously built up quite a bit more. But the fact that they're still doing the ice blocks is incredible. And you know, they've still got some of the same ice holders, as you can see in the documentary. They still push the ice across the top of the surface, which is what, you know, they do in the movie. So that was great to see, and they were very, very kind in letting me film there. So I was very, very proud.
In the film, there's the other outbuilding, which actually where the ice is stored. Is there any sort of like, anything that you could recognizably see where that stood or anything?
Sadly not. No, that's all completely changed. It's now a parking lot for the ice factory vehicles. I tried to go there at night to try and capture the same feel of when obviously Bruce did his fight scene at night, but all the vehicles there, it was hard to actually see if it looked the same. So sadly that one doesn't, but at least we know the exact location of where that was all shot. So yeah, it's still there. So you can actually stand in the very place, you know, Bruce did his fight scene.
So you got to get a circle of people around you and then take them one on one.
You have. It'd be kind of difficult.
I was hoping you might do that. You know, I thought you might got a few big TIE fighters and, you know, stand there in the middle, get somebody to film. No, I'm only joking. Why do you think Golden Harvest sort of like picked that location? Was there anything, did you find out why? I mean, because most of the movies up to then had been, not many movies had moved out of Hong Kong. Why do you feel they went to Thailand?
I think Thailand was starting to become a popular destination because it was, it was cost effective for them. They could do everything for a reasonable price. They could find locations maybe they couldn't get in Hong Kong. But I think more of the fact that it was obviously cost effective gave you a different kind of look. That Golden Harvest obviously went there to do a series of films because after and around the same time Bruce was there, you had obviously the Skyhawk, which was a Golden Harvest film shot in Kanchanaburi. And you also have The Tattooed Dragon with Jimmy Wang Yu, which was shot in Kanchanaburi as well. And Ayutthaya. So, you know, as you probably remember, The Tattooed Dragon, the scene where Jimmy Wang Yu stood on top of the steps in Ayutthaya is the similar location to Van Damme where he shot Kickboxer. So it's the same area. But yeah, I think it was just becoming a popular destination, you know, and it's kind of ironic. Obviously, I went there for the medallion. So even all those years later, the Hong Kong crews were still going to Thailand to shoot martial arts films.
What did you feel about going and the location for the ferry being in a different location?
I think obviously in terms of the schedule, they did the Bangkok shoot at the tail end of the full shoot. So it made sense them doing that. Pak Chong doesn't have any area, and there's no sea there, it's inland. So it was the obvious choice to do it in Bangkok, as well as film some of the other scenes in the movie, such as the Poon Sin restaurant, which is not far. Well, I say not far, it's across the road from where the hotel was that Bruce was staying in. And so every location is very, very near in that area, in the Prapadeng area. So I think it just made sense to tick off all the bits that they hadn't done and maybe do some of the pickups from Pak Chong that they had missing.
We've been now, because we have now got the Arrow box set just come out this week. You will have seen the Mandarin cut, which I think is just about a little bit longer than what actually was shown at the Kung Fu Monthly. event back in '79. What do you think, if anything, when you watched it, was there something that you went, I could have done this, or I could have that? Was there anything there, or did you feel as though you'd covered everything, that you saw when you were doing the documentary?
There was a few bits. Yeah, you're right. I mean, obviously the bit in the brothel, because the camera pans across the row of girls. And I think, as I've mentioned before, but I can obviously go on record saying this, we found one of the girls there now, and obviously she declined to be interviewed. So that's, unfortunate, but it would have been great to hear some stories. But obviously there's a lot more people in that in the Mandarin Cut. But it's quite interesting because that photo of Bruce looking back at the Mitsampan Hotel sign, we've seen so many times in books, and obviously you can see the rows of people watching him in the background. And when you see it in the movie, you can see why Lorway has moved the camera to be a low angle of Bruce, because he's probably trying to crop out all of the people in the background who are actually watching the scene. So there's some, for me it was amazing watching the Mandarin Cut, just to see the extra scenes. I mean, it's just incredible. Any extra Bruce Lee is just going to be met with such an amazing warm reception by all Bruce Lee fans. So and there was quite a lot of footage in that, not obviously all of Bruce, but just changed the movie in some ways, particularly obviously the bit before he does the fight at the end, and he's at the river and he holds his fist in the air, saying, "I'll get revenge," and just little bits like that, because that was a bit of a strange edit, because you always saw his fist in the air on the wide shot, and now it makes sense why he was doing it. There was just that slight little trim in the footage. So
When you've watched the Mandarin Cut and you've done the documentary, do you feel now you understand? I do, and I'd like your opinion, is how the Hong Kong people felt when they first saw the Big Boss.
I think it must have been mesmerizing in some way, because although there've been some amazing films before that, I mean, you had One-Armed Swordsman before that, there's some great films, some great martial arts films, Come Drink With Me, some really iconic martial arts films. But what Bruce did, he just exploded onto the screen. Like you've not seen anything like it. I mean, his fighting, he was so fast, he was so quick, his techniques were so good, and obviously his on-screen persona really came across. It's really, really just incredible. Everyone knows that. You know it, I know it. Anyone who watches a Bruce Lee film, even watching him without fighting, he still draws your attention in, which is just an incredible ability.
Mm-hmm. You've done a lot of this, and you've got the box set, and you must be very proud to be on there. As much as just to get your opinion, and you've expressed yourself on the way that you feel about Big Boss. Have you seen the reaction to something that I saw back in 1982 in Bruce Lee, the Man, the Legend, the Mandarin Cut, and I actually tell people about this. And I always said it's in there, it's somewhere, and it's never been seen. What do you feel to this Danny Inosanto log scene and the way they put that together? Your opinion, because, it's not got a lot of Bruce in it, but you do see Bruce, jump on screen and do his directing with Inosanto. What do you feel? How do you feel about
it? Just so happy to see the extra footage, because as people know, there was a Russia's reel that Golden Harvest had, and that's been the one that's been on releases from around 2001, 2002 or something like that onwards. And you kind of thought, well, that's the reel they found, there can't be any extra footage. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, James Flower's obviously been liaising with the Hong Kong Film Archive, and obviously in Hong Kong, and the footage was found. I think one of them was the original source was on a digibeta tape or something, or a Betacam tape. So it just, I think everyone thought that footage had been lost, particularly the outdoor training scene as well as the log scene. The log scene isn't a particularly long scene, but it's just so iconic because people have been seeing pictures of it. They've heard that it was shot, and now finally we get a chance to see it. And it really makes the whole pagoda sequence of fights flow better now, because we've got basically the start of the footage of what Bruce filmed. So we've got the complete sequence, including the bit where he goes downstairs and obviously and goes to exit the pagoda. So I think it's because it came out of nowhere. Everyone was in a bit of shock, me included. I'm not going to lie. I didn't think I'd ever get to see that in my lifetime. I think most people didn't expect to see it in their lifetimes, as well as the Big Boss Mandarin cut. I mean, and the fact that it's time for the 50th anniversary as well is very significant. So, yeah, but loved all the extra footage. Even though the log scene, as I say, is very short, it's still great. Some of the camera work's very interesting that Bruce uses for the scene. So hope people love it.
Just to sort of like wind this little bit up, how do you feel now the legacy of Bruce Lee will continue? Do we feel as though we've put a bit of closure to things, or do you feel as though it will open up a little bit more? How do you feel about it now? Where do you feel as though the legacy will continue now?
I think it'll constantly keep going and evolving, because it has already. You know, we were probably saying that at the 25th anniversary, you know, and then the 30th anniversary, and here we are on the 50th anniversary, and he's still, as you know, the presence is still there. It's as iconic as ever. Enter the Dragon's going to be soon re-released in a 4K special edition. Obviously all of Bruce Lee's Golden Harvest movies are out in a box set. So I think for the fans, we hope we'll always find new photos. We'll always find new videos. There'll be something to keep the legacy going. There's always going to be events, whether it's an art exhibition, whether it's film screenings. They're always going to be attended by the hardcore Bruce Lee fans. And I think the legacy will live on and will continue to live on.
You've just touched on something that I'd like to ask you before we wind totally up, is Enter the Dragon. There's a few scenes in there that, you know, could be easily put back in. There's 2 reels that were found by Walt Missingham and stuff like that. And there's the bits from Game of Death too. Why don't you feel Warner Brothers will go to the trouble of what Arrow's done to do that for Enter the Dragon when it is such an iconic movie?
It is. It's a difficult one to talk about, because obviously I'm a fan, and I would love for the footage to come out. I'd love to see different edits. I'd love to see, you know, obviously anyone who's got Super 8mm footage, to see all of that, any of the rushes. But it's the politics of dealing with a big studio. To be honest, I'd love to get in contact with them and see if there's a way of getting hold of at least some of the footage. I would love to know if the original rushes reels are still available, to see if there's anything on the rushes that can be salvaged. You know, I think it'd just be a case of finding the contact there and just appealing to them to see if it could be possible. But the problem is, if it is on original 35mm film, it becomes, as you know, it'll become a very costly process. And that could be, you know, the main sticking point, is the cost of actually getting the 35mm reels transferred. We don't know if they've been backed up onto Betacam, U-matic, whatever format they might have put it on back then or even now. So it just needs someone to go digging. I think it needs a dig.
So, Mr. Routledge, as a director, I will leave you with that legacy. Maybe the shovel is in your hand.
Well, I'm ready to go there. I'm ready to go. If I can get the contact there, I'm gone. I'm going to go and see if I can find the footage, because I know everyone would love it and it would be an amazing project. How
did Bruce Lee affect you to become what you've become?
Well, interesting story, because I was very young at the time. I was like 12 or 13 years old. I was getting picked on quite a bit at school, and my dad showed me a TV screening of Enter the Dragon, we'd recorded it on VHS, and it was only half of the film, but it was just, had an incredible impact on me. Just watching Bruce Lee doing the martial arts, his speed, his timing, everything was just incredible. And I must have watched it 10 to 20 times in the first, couple of weeks of watching it. And from then on, it was like, buy one poster, buy another poster, start doing martial arts, learn a bit of Wing Chun, and before you know it, your whole room's got Bruce Lee posters. I think I bought every single poster that was on offer in Chinatown. A whole wall was covered, as I'm sure a lot of people were the same as me. So yeah.
Out of all the things you bought at that time, have you kept anything that is personally something that you refer back to? Because Bruce Lee must have meant a lot to you, but something that you've kept that you feel as though, I got to keep this. This is my inspiration from Bruce.
Yeah, it was basically just the first poster I bought from the martial arts shop. And it's the pose of Bruce in Fist of Fury holding the nunchucks. And the poster, it's pretty mucky now. It's aged quite a bit because obviously I bought it, late 80s. And it just reminds me of, that was obviously kind of like the birth of me getting a lot more Bruce Lee memorabilia from there on in. And I've always kept it. To be honest, I need to put it on the wall. So thanks for the reminder.
So what inspired you more from all the things that you've done and the things? What's inspired you to become what you've become and do what you do?
I think, to be honest, I started wanting to be a PE teacher. I always wanted to do something fitness related, but I was heading down the PE teacher route. But then, obviously, as I was progressing, I kind of sidetracked into media production, media communication, that kind of thing. So I basically did a BTEC course in media production. Then I did an A-level in TV post-production, which was editing. And so everything was related to that. So when I was on those courses, I started doing martial arts related short films. So I was putting myself in them. I was getting my friends in my class in them. Anything I could do to do something that was martial arts based. And obviously very Bruce Lee influenced, because Enter the Dragon was what got me into doing it in the first place. And consequently, on my degree course, I end up going to an event in Bradford, meeting yourself, Andrew, and doing an interview with you for my degree course, where I was doing a Bruce Lee documentary for one of the modules. So there you go. And that was, I think we're going back into 1997, around that time. So goes back a long way, but the documentary got me through my degree. So that's a good thing.
Oh, well, nice to have been of use. I feel as though you've done your martial arts bit, but you've actually done a lot of film before you've just actually done what we're going to be talking about today. So when you've done filming of martial arts, is there a point when you're filming something and Bruce comes into your head, or am I just being silly? Do you feel as though sometimes you'll be watching thinking, oh yeah, I want to fit this in?
I think he's always there as an influence, because obviously just when you watch the films, he just explodes off the screen, just such an incredible charisma, such an incredible personality. Even if he's not fighting, you're drawn to him. I remember just been watching some of the new Big Boss Mandarin cut, and even the scenes he's not fighting and other characters are talking, you're drawn to look at what Bruce is doing in the background. This is just, that is just the power of his on-screen charisma, really. And obviously such an incredible influence, not just in the martial arts world, but in the martial arts movie world as well. Because one thing that is sad is I think everyone would have loved to have seen how he would have developed, not only as an actor, but also as a director after from 1973 onwards. Because even Game of Death, it was just looking incredible, the footage, and there's some groundbreaking kind of camera work in that for the era. You could tell Bruce was trying to push the boundaries a bit, hired a Japanese cinematographer for the film. So yeah, I think his influence is still going strong. 50 years later, here we are, we're still talking about him.
So how did you get involved with Arrow? to actually do it? And were you doing it before, or did you suggest it to Arrow? How did it come about with Arrow?
I was doing it before. It was always a project I was going to do anyway. And I was put in touch with Arrow through Brandon Bentley, who's been, instrumental for quite a lot of the projects related to the Arrow Bruce Lee box set release. And he introduced me to James Flower. And I obviously told James what I was doing. I was going to be doing this documentary in Thailand on the Big Boss. And, would he be interested? And obviously it was subject to watching it. But fortunately, I think we all did a great job on the documentary, and Arrow took it on board, which is great. So Brandon and James both offered kind of like comments on bits to change on the documentary, maybe add this, maybe put that. But yeah, basically with their supervision and me producing and editing it, that's how we got it out there in the end. And I think it's part of an amazing Bruce Lee box set. Such a tribute for the obviously 50th year of Bruce's passing and 50th year of Enter the Dragon being released.
Matt, thank you so much for your time. I'm sure this is what the end. I'm sure we'll be talking to you again about your other directorial projects, and we wish you well from Womar TV. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much. No, appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Sports Social Podcast Network.
Okay, round 2. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Ah, sorry, we were looking for Chumba Casino. That's right, ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.